Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli out here in the shop, the Mad Scientist Lab, and I want to talk to you today about fishing soft plastic jerk baits, fluke style baits. The fall is coming, and in my opinion, no better time to fish a fluke style bait than in the fall. In the fall, they go on a rampage feeding on bait fish, and that thing right there does a perfect job of imitating bait fish. Super clear to stain water, one of my top choices in the fall. Want to talk to you a little bit today about how I rig it and some tricks, secrets, and modifications I make to get this bait to perform better. Let's start with the line and the rigging. Really, to me, the best way to fish a soft plastic jerk bait is with a braid to fluorocarbon leader setup. Whether you're using a really long spinning rod, 7/6 spinning rod like this Ike series rod, or whether you're using a casting rod, it doesn't matter. The braid to fluoro setup really lets this bait work at its best. Traditionally, I'm using 15 or 20 pound Berkeley trilene braid to 10 to 15 pound Berkeley trilene fluorocarbon. And that braid, the fluorocarbon, lets the bait work, but that braid lets you make super long casts, gives you the ability to twitch that bait with short twitches of the rod and zero stretch. Really accurate hookups, even on a long cast. So braid the fluoro, but instead of using a line to line knot like I normally do, when I'm fishing a soft plastic jerkbait, I use a barrel swivel. And I use a larger than normal barrel swivel. That's kind of a big freshwater size. There's a heavy freshwater size barrel swivel. And sometimes I'll even go to a saltwater size barrel swivel. And the reason I'm going to use that barrel swivel, there's a few reasons, and here they go. First one is line twist. When you rig that soft plastic jerkbait on that hook and you twitch it and you reel it, sometimes it has a tendency to roll. That barrel swivel is going to eliminate line twist. It's also going to act as a little bit extra weight for longer cast, and when you pause the bait, it's going to help drive that fluke down a little bit in the water column. And that pause is real important. So it's acting as a weight to help drive it down. But here goes the final reason. And you're going to think I'm nuts, but I'm not. In really clear water situations, I believe that that barrel swivel looks like a little tiny fish being chased by another small fish, and that's really natural. Can't tell you how many times in clear water I've outfished the guy in the boat, and I believe it's because of that barrel swivel. Let's talk about the hook now. And the hook to me is a real important part of fishing a soft plastic jerkbait. And I basically like to use a 4 or a 5/0 offset hook. It's my favorite style hook to use, a 4 or 5/0 offset hook with a regular 4 to 5 inch soft plastic jerkbait. But I'm going to either pick a standard gauge VMC hook or a heavy gauge VMC hook, depending on where I want that soft plastic jerkbait in the water column. When I want to keep it up near the top, popping on the surface, I use a 4 or 5/0 standard gauge hook. When I want that soft jerkbait to go down in the water column, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet down, I go with a 4 or 5/0 heavy gauge hook. Real important. Pick the right gauge hook for what you want to do with the bait. But the other way that I control the bait is how I'm going to rig this thing on the hook. And this is a really cool modification. Let's start with keeping the bait near the surface. When you want this bait twitching and darting and popping out of the top of the water, I'm going to rig it deep in the bait, okay? Normal Texas rig, I'm going to go in the head of that soft plastic jerkbait. By the way, this is a bait by Havoc called the jerk. It's a really great soft plastic jerk bait. But I'm going to go in the head of the bait like a normal Texas rig, but instead of coming out half of an inch down or a quarter of an inch down, I'm going to push it all the way down in the body an inch or more and pull it out. And I'm going to do the normal Texas rig. I'm going to go outside the body. I'm going to rig it in the body, make sure the bait's nice and straight. And now if you look, we're real deep inside the bait. And look at all that nose now that's soft. And as I twitch that bait and jerk that bait now, all that extra plastic at the nose is going to cause that bait to rise to the surface. So that's how I rig it when I want to keep the bait high in the water column. But the reverse is true. And when I want to get that bait deeper, I go to a heavy gauge hook, a 4 or 5 aught heavy gauge offset VMC hook, but I'm going to rig it the opposite way. We're going to go in the nose of the bait, start our normal Texas rig, but now I'm going to go out, I'm just going to go in about 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to pop it right back out. I'm going to go around the bend of the hook, rig it Texas style, and now when you look at it, the eye of the hook is actually sticking out of the nose of the bait. And when I rig that soft plastic jerk bait like that and twitch it and jerk it, it's going to want to dive down and drive the bait deeper to get to that deeper water column. Really cool modification. Last modification I want to talk to you about is short striking fish. And a lot of times, especially in semi-clear to clean water, you'll get bass that headbutt it, hit the bait, boil on it, and not catch it. Really frustrating. Got a great little trick that I figured out over the years that will help you catch those fish. First thing is we're going to take our fluke. We're going to do our normal Texas rig. This one, I'm going to just go in about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to pull it out, pull it around the bend there. But now I'm going to stop. And now I'm going to get a really cool little thing, little black stop. And that's a VMC bait stop. You could also use a bobber stop. And I'm going to take that bobber stop and I'm actually going to go in the hole of the bobber stop right at the point of the hook. Okay, so there's a look at the bobber stop going over the point of the hook. I'm going to push that bobber stop or bait stop, and I'm just going to bring it about halfway up on the shank of the hook just for now and let that thing sit there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a treble hook. A treble hook. I know, not for a jerkbait or a crankbait or topwater. It's for a soft jerkbait. For a standard size 4 or 5 inch soft jerkbait, I like a number 4 size treble, and I like the VMC round bend for this application. We're going to get our treble hook, and we're going to slide that treble over the point of our 4 or 5 aught hook. But before we do that, I want you to make sure that there is a single prong facing upward when you go over the point of the hook. And I'm just going to put that thing, okay, now it's on the main hook. And now I'm going to finish my Texas rig. Going to get that regular hook inside the body, make sure it's nice and straight. Finally, with that single prong, I'm going to just push it into the tail of the bait, make sure it's nice and straight, and I'm going to get that bobber stop, that bait stop, and I'm going to pull it up so that it acts as a keeper or a stop on that bait. The bait runs exactly the same. You can twitch it on top, make it dart. When you pause it, that treble hook will actually help drive the bait down a little deeper. And when those fish slap at it, now they're going to get a big fat treble hook in their face. Great little modification for short striking fish. Listen to me. If you're excited like I am about the fall season coming up, imitate bait fish. Try a fluke. Use some of these modifications we talked about, and you're going to jack a lot of fish in the fall. Mike Iaconelli, out here in the shop.